everyone. My name is Justin. This is Chris. We're some of the founders of TurboFinTech. We're a passive income investment solutions company that focuses on making financial technology as like a software for software as a solution type business. So just to paint a landscape of what kind of problem that we're trying to solve for is a lot of people are looking for more money or more income to combat the rise in like cost of living. So that can be like the housing market is running rampant right now. The car market is running rampant right now. College tuition is rising. So if you're a student, you have to pay more to go to college. If you're a parent, you need to save more money and you have to save faster to keep up with the rising costs. Rent is increasing, and not to mention gas is still $4. And for me, I drove all the way over here, so I feel like I had to like take a loan out to come here. So, and then the current investment methods that help people get more money, things like holding your money in a savings account or in a mutual fund or having your money stay in a 401k, that could, those aren't as aggressive or as dynamic or as new cutting edge as people would like it to be. So you can't really make as much money as you used to with all of these like rising costs. So people are trying to get ahead of that with finding new ways to make money. And one of the ways that we think that you can make a lot of money is by gaining access to any of the capital that's available in financial markets. So things like stocks, bonds, cryptocurrency, NFTs, whatever. They all have like billions, if not trillions of dollars up for grabs at any point. And we think that people should have access to that. But before we get into that, let's go over like the pros and cons of just being in the financial markets, being an active player in it. So we can look at the pros. The pros is that, oh, why is it so small? You can make a lot of money fast. And that's the can right here. You can make a lot of money fast in financial markets, right? So there's billions and trillions of dollars. If you grab even a little bit of that, that's a small fortune for one person. And it's very easy to sign up and get started. All you need is a social security number and a minimum account balance. And a lot of people only focus on the pros. So last year we saw 150 million new trading accounts be created of people just manually going into the market and trying to press buttons randomly and trade on their own. But what happened was that 90% of those people ended up failing. Their account balance goes to zero and they can't trade anymore. They can't play within financial markets anymore. And that's probably because of the con side over here. And so I think, I'm not too sure, but I'm sure many of you have heard about the stock market. This isn't the first time I'm introducing it to you. Maybe it is. Many of you have heard about stocks, about bonds, about cryptocurrency, but maybe not everyone is like willing to participate in that. That's probably because of the cons here. So in your head, you can think about some of the cons. I went through the liberty of writing some of them myself. Let's see if yours pops up on the screen. Oh. Oh, okay, well, oh. I hope I got them all, if not just a few of them. The bottom line that I'm trying to paint here is that although there's a big reward to being in the financial markets, there is a catch. There are several different catches, so it makes investing in financial markets very, very difficult, very intimidating. But why should everyone learn how to trade within the market themselves and become like a self-made expert? Do we build our own computers? Do we build our own cars? Do we build our own houses? No, but do we need computers? Do we need cars? Do we need houses? Yes. So we rely on people who can package that expertise into a product, and then we buy that product. So we want to do the same with passive income in financial markets. So that we just take away all the cons so that we can focus more on just the pros. So our mission is that us at TurboFinTech, we just want to help people. Like it doesn't have to be within financial markets. We just want to help people in general. But we just so happen to be positioned to help people the best through financial markets and through our background in fintech. So we want to help people gain access to passive income within financial markets without having to be an expert, a self-made expert, without having to waste money or to lose money to waste time like manually trading or anything like that, and make this whole process as simple and easy to use as possible. Something that we don't see in the space right now. So what we did to try to solve this problem, to try to make trading easier for everyone, was we started by creating signals that paint on a securities price chart to basically tell you how best to like trade a stock at any point in time. So this is like a default chart. Just from this alone, if you're not too familiar with how to trade, it kind of can look intimidating. Wouldn't it be nice if the screen, instead of giving you all these red and green candles that look a little confusing, wouldn't it be nicer if it just told you when to buy, when to hold, when to sell, when to get in, when to get out, just in big letters like buy, hold, and sell, right? Wouldn't it be a lot nicer if it just straight up told you? Well, that's what our signals are trying to do. So pictorially, it's supposed to represent like the trading decision that you should be making at that time, like right away, without you having to really think or like learn or overanalyze anything. All you have to do is just follow our signals, and it should get you in and out with a decent profit. So we took these signals and we did end up giving this product to a group of online traders, like a Discord community that has around several thousand users and several hundred active daily users at any given time. They liked our product and they thought that our signals were really powerful, but they wanted something even more. They were like, okay, on top of this, could you also make us a robot that trades these signals for us? So we're like, all right.
I'm one of those people because I still look at this and it means nothing to me.
So we were like, you know what? Like, if that's what our sample target market wants, then of course we will pivot, and we created a trading bot. So our trading bot uses the signals that I just showed you guys in its decision making to get in and out of trades. And these are just some of the recent trades that it was able to make. So we were able to create a bot, and we are in the process of trying to get that released to people right now. But when we were doing it, we realized that there are a lot of other players in this space. There are already a lot of trading bots out there that may work better or worse than our bot, or just trade differently than our bot and trade different securities as our bot. But the money-making potential is there. The passive income opportunity is there already. The problem is not a lot of people know about it. So there's all these different competitors that we realized we would be like entering. Like when we entered like the bot trading space, we realized there were a bunch of different competitors. But out of like the top 5 or 10, they only have like 1 million active accounts put together. Whereas like the amount of people that they could be servicing are the 76 million active day traders that are online at any point in time worldwide, or the 300 million just passive income seekers, people that aren't necessarily like day trading experts, but they would be interested in turning on a bot in the background and have it generate income for them in the background. Like, you don't have to be a day trading expert to access any of these financial trading bots. So there's like 76 million of day traders, 300 million passive income seekers that they could be taking advantage of, but they only have 1 million accounts. So we were like, what's going on? Like, if bot trading is so like such a revolutionary financial tool, why don't people know about it? And it's because of 3 different things. So the first thing is that every different bot trading platform has a confusing user interface like this. It's very hard to navigate, and they all have a different user interface. Each site has a different user interface. So it's like learning a new language every time you want to go from site to site. It's a lot of learning. It takes a lot of time, and sometimes you don't even get what you want out of it by the end of that learning journey. Not to mention that these like platforms can run up like with bugs. Like they'll flash like error signals a lot when you're trying to navigate through their site. Very frustrating for someone like me who was just trying to do some research and wanted to bot trade myself. I would keep getting these error messages, and a lot of them aren't professional enough to handle large-scale customers. So for example, I tried to ask for help getting through this kind of thing, with several different bot companies by messaging their support channels, and they just ghosted me. Like they just left me on red. Like that's never happened to me before in a corporate setting. So what we want to do is we want to now, our newest idea for our product is we want to create a unified bot trading platform that brings together as many different bot providers under one roof that uses one UI to let you access all these different trading bots at the same time with the most seamless, easy to use process to follow. We want to make bot trading more, I guess, more friendly and more available to everyone. We want to make it more well-known and put it on the map, as well as we want to make it easier so that people don't have to like stress out like I did in that previous slide. So to kind of
It happened when we switched from PowerPoint to Google Drive.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, so I'll say what's supposed to be there. So I'm gonna try to describe what the marketplace or what our platform is trying to do with apps that already
Excuse me.
exist. Oh,
You're about 10 minutes into a 6-minute presentation.
Oh, okay. I thought someone called time for me. But I guess.
2 minutes. We'll give you 2 minutes.
Oh, okay. So I'll just run through real quick. Like a user experience that I'll try to describe what our marketplace is supposed to do with apps that already exist. So this first one's supposed to be Airbnb. We're trying to how Airbnb brought a bunch of renters under one roof, so that it made finding like a vacation spot or a place to stay in a certain geographical location a lot easier than contacting each different renter individually. Instead, like you just go to Airbnb and you can like pick whatever like provider that is there. Like we want to be able to provide that for trading bots. We want to have like as many people under one roof and make the process as easy as possible to find new trading bots, no matter which provider they're under. This one's supposed to be Spotify. Spotify has the ability to group together a bunch of songs that you listen to and recommend you new songs based off of your playlist. We want to do the same for trading bots. It has like, we should be able to create a playlist of trading bots that you use, and you should be able to get recommendations on new ones to use based off of the bots that you already use. And these last two are reviews. It's supposed to be, I think, CNET and Yelp are the last two that are supposed to give transparency to products and services that are already out there. So we want to give expert feedback, critical feedback, as well as user feedback on our bots to give more transparency on their safety, their performance, and whatnot, to make the risk as transparent as possible. So I have a revenue model, but I guess I can save that more for the Q&A if anyone else is interested in that. So yeah, thank you so much.
Did you say this is ready now, or it's coming? That's the first question. The second question, what do you charge for this? And the third question, can you choose what you want to invest in, or just leave it up to you?
So the first question is how many of these products are out already?
No, is yours ready to go? In other words, if I wanted to go with this today, could I do it?
Not from what Justin pitched. So we have our MVP, which is out already, which is the signals and dashboard. But the request to go for a bot, we have a working version of that we can use, but it's only on a computer. It's not hosted by a server yet. And the marketplace, which was one of the things we actually picked up by going to investors, are like, you're a Me Too product. It's either yes or no that works. You need to think bigger if you want to get investments. So we're like, all right, well, what is the actual problem? If we are going to have the same challenges all our competitors at that point we're having, why not turn our competitors into our partners? So we already have insights into who the founders are for these other partners, and we have access to talk to them. We want to actually create a better user experience and then invite them to actually share that user community.
Do you have any expected timeline when they'll be ready? Because I like the bot idea. Most of us don't have time to do this stuff. We have something to do as for us. We're happy.
Yeah, If only you guys
Expensive to
told us
put
that
out.
in January last year. when we started building signals. But no, we were listening, because the signals, even though they work, people at that time, they didn't have the mental patience or emotional patience to use them. So the request was, okay, great, for those who use them, you've satisfied their need. What about ours? We need a bot that does it for us. So we went down that path to build a bot. It works, but now it's a question of how do we get it out to everybody else to use it? And the last question is, even if we got it out, we're at the exact same problem that all these other companies have, which is it's very hard to know where to go. Once you get there, it's hard to use it. And then the last thing is, even if you did use it, because we talked to people who did use it, eventually the bot performance attenuates, and they don't know where to go. You know, like, why bot this is working, now it doesn't. They don't know that the market conditions change. So first question is partially out, not fully. That's why we're seeking funding. Second question is, you know, do we get to pick? Yeah, you can say, I want to trade Bitcoin, Ethereum, I want to trade US dollar, euro, or I want to trade like Apple. But then the work is done by us to say, here's the exit.
What happens tomorrow market crashes 10%?
So that's the great part about our bot is that it doesn't just trade in one direction. It's not a buy and hold bot. It can short. So as long as the market is moving, whether it's up or down, it can short and it can sell at the top and buy back at the bottom.
Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, 9:30, it crashes 10%.
That's how we daily trade it. Yeah.
What do you sell at that time?
No, we trade the momentum of every day. So crypto's on 24/7. There's no tomorrow morning. It's every minute.
No,
It's
I'm
on.
talking
Yeah.
stocks.
Yeah. So if it's stocks, then we normally don't hold overnight. We'd be in and out of position intraday. And then in the morning, that crash caused more panic. We take advantage of that panic and play option trades.
And there's also like risk parameters you can put in there. If you put in there that you only want to lose 15%, if the market crashes, you're not gonna see that full loss. You're gonna get out at the top because at that point it'll hit your 15% threshold and you're out. So there's safety parameters built in too.
So you guys let the user pick the stocks, correct?
But we also have a dashboard.
You only have a list of stocks or it can be any stock?
Yeah.
Okay, so how does it now look like you guys could become a market manipulator? If let's say you have 1 million users,
Yep.
right? And you have 1 million people going into AMC at $5, stock runs up to 100, then you tell 1 million people to dump it at $100. Now the stock's $20, you guys just crash the stock.
So the way you look at that is, number one is, does everybody all decide to point their bot at AMC? That's the first question. But the second question is, how do you know that we're not a manipulator? That actually is the problem we face with a lot of the other competitors or hopefully partners in the future, is the reviews on Reddit say, oh, this bot is just pump and dump. It just gets me in, rides it up so that the bot creator gets to exit and then I get caught in the dump. What we do is we publish all our signals. They're free, which is the intention is our signals are free so you can audit us at any time. You don't see any funny business happening that we don't, like if our bot's doing it, you get to watch it happen live every day. There's no like, oh, because we want to accumulate a position, we're going to feed it fake signals. You will watch the stock move and see that every signal is unbiasedly looking at the market the exact same way every day,
But
based on price and volume.
the bot doesn't take into account that, let's say you guys have 1 million users, telling, getting that same signal to sell. Right?
There's, yeah, so there's different timeframes, different directions, and different user preferences. So if the market gets crowded, you're assuming, oh, there's 1 million users who are going to go and crash the market. The GameStop AMC is a very rare event where one hedge fund shorted the heck out of and basically drive all the shorts. All the shorts borrow, like, there's nothing to borrow. And then everybody's had to buy it up to make them squeeze up and have to buy it on the way up. That happened once, maybe twice, 3 times. I think Volkswagen was an example in the past too, and then there was one other example as well. You're talking about a market that's so liquid though that if you pulled everybody who has money in this room and across the entire world, they only represent like less than 10% of the buying power of the market. So you're basically saying, well, if we all became a hedge fund and then we all bought at the same time, that's what they do all the time. Hedge funds do that all day, every day. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, BlackRock, they're all doing big purchases, and that's where we see the moves happen. What we do is we see those moves happen, and we actually try to catch them as they're happening, but get out before they're over. That's what the signals are there for.
Excuse me? Okay, what is the reaction time? Are there any delays? Because I'm thinking software is only good as the software engineer behind it.
So we're not a high frequency trading desk, which is what I think you're talking about, is if you're arbitraging, exchange A has the stock for $5, exchange B has it for $5 or 1 cent. How do I buy an A and sell the B and get that 1 cent faster than everybody else? We don't do that. Our signals run on 30 seconds, 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 5 hour daily. You choose the time frame you want. And based on the signals that we're getting, it'll be a strategy specific to that time frame. So the delay on the time frame is nothing, but we're not trying to compete with the like nanoseconds of trading because those are tiny little sweeps. We're actually doing the same thing that DJ, perfect example. Taught him how to trade last year. He's exceeded my performance. He just uses our signals. Every day he logs in, he posts a live session of people who are trading and teaches them our signals for free because we want to show them that anybody can use it if you have the time and the patience. But it is very hard to have the time and the patience, which is why we like all the same signals.
And the stomach.
Yeah, that's true.
I've got a question from the chat. Eric Petrusik said, you said with your background, you are well placed to provide better investment advice. What is that background?
Not in myself.
Okay.
None of this is financial.
Well, what is the background that you bring?
So I myself have more than a decade's worth of, I have more than 10 years worth of equity research and technical analysis research under my belt. I went to school for finance and marketing, and I was able to run USF's student investment fund. So it's like a $500,000 fund where we recommend like different equities and stuff for them to invest in. I guess we go.
Yeah, I have 10 years experience in the financial and equities area. I've worked for Goldman Sachs for 8 years, 4 in Hong Kong, 4 in New York, doing mostly like strategic programs of automation, manual process replacement, and like new product launches.
So my background is on the tech side of things. Started as a software developer, switched to system admin, switched to project manager.
And then our other member who couldn't make it today because he lives in Guatemala, he's our co-unicorn. He basically tell him something that you're thinking of, he programs it and it works. Like I haven't finished describing it yet. So that's like our secret weapon is somebody who really gets what we're trying to do and makes it really quick and rapid.
We have one more chat question. Rather than recommend based on existing platforms in use, does it make more sense to recommend based on user goals? So Matt, rather than making a recommendation based on the existing platforms that you're already working with, is it better to listen to what the user wants and make recommendations to the platform to fit the user? Not platform first, user first.
They'll always be open to. They have the beta group that they test. They've constantly been bouncing out because I'm a part of it. So any feedback that we give them, they always are making constant changes and adjustments to make it more user friendly. They actually kind of use me. I'm not very tech friendly. I like cars. I use my hands, but computers and stuff, that's not my thing. And they kind of use me as a base, like, is this something John would be able to do? Try and get an idea of the average person, because their idea is to make it most accessible to the average Joe.
Yeah, we
So
started very technical and detailed because we were facing off with day traders, and they are very technical and detailed. In fact, a lot of them have their own methods that you have to convince them, hey, I got something that might help you. And 9 times out of 10, people are like, why do you have these signals? Why are they helpful? They're just like any other bad indicator, right? So just try it. And then next thing you know, in our Discord that we're in, we went from like just saying, hey, you guys should check out these free signals we offer. Now we have 100 people using them every day, and they're calling out things that our charts are finding. So the idea was we did want to help people, but we couldn't help the most people by sticking within that niche of just signals. We had to expand it further to help people like John. Like, I see the value, but I don't have the time or the know-how or the appetite to do this. And give me a bot where I can just put in $10 and see if that $10 can go to 100, or put in 1,000 and see it go to 10,000.
So what's your revenue model? Are you a subscription basis and don't take any piece of any of the trades? Do you take a piece of the trades? What do you do?
Yeah, so our revenue model would be based on customer referrals, partnerships with different bot providers, and monthly subscriptions. I don't think we would take performance, like we wouldn't take a cut of the performance. It would be more just like monthly subscriptions to our marketplace and to all the bots that are provided. So the referrals are, if we can accumulate enough customers to go through our marketplace to go to our different providers, we're basically referring those customers to our providers and we will get a cut of that. And then our partnerships, we would have like, we would get income from the different partners that are under our platform.
One thing to tie back our mission to help as many people as possible. There are people who said, I will give you $20,000 and you can charge me a management fee. Now, yeah, we can have a separate section where we can help people like that. Where yes, there may be a bigger fee than just a monthly, but for the average consumer, we want to keep it as low monthly as possible. So it's more like and say, if I can make more than $100 a month, it's worth $100 a month.
So the follow up real quick, create a model, a simple graphical model. You're the Uber for between who or what. You're what, because, you know, describing referrals, partnerships, monthly subscriptions, simplify this out tremendously so that it's a one glance and I get it instead of trying to explain it all.
Yeah, it sounds like what we're trying to do is help everyday people become active and passive income, right? Essentially.
Yes.
You have the elements, all the elements of a great presentation. It just needs to be much more concise. It's got to flow a little bit better. You got to grease the skids a little. It's just too much information for a first impression. I'm not saying that because you only have 6 minutes. I'm saying you're going to lose people's interest if you try and get so detailed as you did. But you have all the elements there, so it's kind of like, oh, you're so close. So kudos for that.
We're closer than we were before. So.
I'll take it as a compliment. Thank you. That's high compliment. I think you need to that joke you made needs to be in the beginning with the how you had to take out a loan to drive here. That you should use that. I don't care if you drove 5 minutes to get here. Use that joke. Open with that.
For sure.
It's fantastic.
Sure.
Can I last one? What is your exit strategy?
We can always sell the product TaxBox itself, which is our own proprietary signals.
Goldman Sachs comes through tomorrow.
Yeah, we don't want to, because the idea is if we give it to Goldman, it's all in the hands of the people. So the idea is just go ahead and build a revenue model. We can always sell services off the side. If we have to exit, that is on the table. If somebody wants to buy out the product, but we want to stay as a company and continue to make products to help people.
Yeah, we want to help people for as long as we can with what we have here.
We have one more with Rupert and then we move on.
So I've got some feedback. The what Josh said is true. You tell us more about your mission. Tell us more about your story and less about the product. Okay, the product should be really simple. We take a bite out of, using your branding. We take a bite out of the investment hassles for day traders or whatever. Come up with something that fits in between the eyes. On the cons page, there's a lot of verbiage, which is fine, but I would put that verbiage in a way that it's kind of behind and pick 2 or 3 points and just focus on those 3 that you really hammer home.
Either that or make it like the Star Wars thing, where just kind of
The original version made it look like it was the entire right side of the screen. It was supposed to be like intimidating and no one was supposed to read it.
Right.
But it did come up as like, oh, I was just trying to use 8 fonts and fit them all in there.
Right. But still, that you've got to look at it from a viewer psychological standpoint, which is like it's overpowering.
Just like hold a few of them so they stand out.
Yeah. So I felt the mission was a little weak. That helping people is great, but that's not what investors want to hear. They just want to hear how you're going to make money. Okay, and so you've got to basically say, we're going to do that by going with us. The average investor, is going to save this much time or this much effort or whatever, whatever the metrics are that you think work, and really knock those out of the park. I was originally didn't find out until later on after 10 minutes that you're focusing on day traders as well as other people. But how limited is that market and so forth? So that's something that you might be hurting yourself on. But I do love the collaborative aspect where you're working with your competitors and bringing them in. Definitely need to be concise and make sure your presentation converts well, because there's multiple other places that you're going to be going to and different platforms, and you really need to make sure. To me, I think PDF is probably the best bet because you won't lose anything in the translation. you don't get your animations, but in 6 minutes, who cares, right? Yeah, and that's my feedback.
All right.
Oh, and don't forget, we save this on, we're gonna be putting this on YouTube. So get back to it and study the heck out of it, right? Study the heck out of it. And, yeah.
I'll send it to you 5 years later.
I do recommend, since you guys drove up to Tampa, rather than just going straight back, get with Josh or Rupert, there's a coffee shop just down the road. Sit with them for an hour and let them coach you a little bit.
Actually, we have a meeting to go to.
Well, Josh is free for coffee, I'm sure. No mean coffee. Okay. So I do recommend you getting together with him before you leave. Get some.
There's always Zoom also, worst case.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get you coffee, shut up. We'll send it.
Just thinking.
All right, well, thank you very much.
That's obvious.
We're going to hear from Michael from the UCF Business Incubator. So our host, come and tell us about the place where we are right now. Oh, wait, before you do, stop right there. I wanted to get one more picture of the whole room. Nobody's going to believe it. All right, thank you.
Oh, you do? Oh. I was gonna put on my phone.
Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Michael Weiss. I'm the site manager for the UCF Business Incubation Program. I manage this location as well as another one downtown, which this is one of 8 locations that UCF operates. All right. So Orlando, believe it or not, is the 2nd fastest growing city in the country. First in Florida, and about 1,000 people live here every week. It's a lot, right? And there's a lot of benefits to it. There's also a lot of challenges, everything from traffic to how we're going to provide jobs to all the people that are moving here and that are living here. Well, our economic developers do a lot of recruiting for larger companies, but larger companies only provide about a third of all new jobs created, where small businesses create about 2/3 of them. And startups, particularly innovative startups, account for 20% of all new jobs created. So companies that have been in business less than 5 years. So that's where we come in. Because as you may know, startups fail. 20% fail within their first year, and about half are gone within 5 years. So that's a real challenge. And where we come in is we look to provide, we look to provide tools, training, and infrastructure to help these early stage innovative startups to grow faster and smarter. How do we do that? We have 3 programs. One is our launch program, which helps new businesses get to market and establish their operational foundations. The second program, our growth program, is focused on those who are already in the market generating revenue and now need to figure out how to scale their operations, bring on key hires, focus on funding, things like that. And the third program isn't necessarily for startups per se. It's for established companies that are headquartered somewhere else in the world who want to set up a business development office here in Central Florida. Because either they want to test the US market or the Central Florida market specifically. And we do charge for our program. For the earlier stage program, it's $150 a month, and it provides up to 12 months of support. At the end of this 12 months, we hope that companies will graduate into our growth program, which is $300 a month. And 3 years is about the average time a company will spend in our program. And then the soft landing program or the expansion program, also $300 a month. And they usually stay with us for about 2 years. So regardless of which program you're in, we provide a lot of different services and resources that generally fall into these 5 buckets. Mentorship, where we connect our entrepreneurs with experienced entrepreneurs that have the experience of raising capital, growing a team, increasing market share, and as well as subject matter experts, such as attorneys, accountants, things like that. Business development. So we provide connections to potential partners or customers. We have our first customer program, which helps new companies do just that, get their first customer through a paid pilot program. And then one of the other resources that are available to our companies is we retain a PR firm, so we'll help generate press coverage for your company at no cost. Operations, if you need help setting up your chart of accounts, your managing finances, hiring people, legal needs, we have a lot of both connections and internal resources that can help with those things. Capital, we don't actually provide capital to any of our companies, nor do we take equity in any of the companies that we support. But there's a lot of different forms of capital that we help our companies to identify and prepare for, anything from investors to crowdfunding to grants to paid pilots. So there's a lot of different forms of helping them raise capital. And the last thing is space, particularly specialized space. It is very difficult to find wet lab space. So our Lake Nona Incubator and our research park incubator both have a lab space, as well as a light manufacturing space, as well as office and meeting space to help these companies grow. We've been around for 22 years. Collectively in that time, our companies have raised about $500 million in sales. We're generating $500 million in sales. We've helped over 600 startups, over $100 million in funding. Not all of our companies need to raise capital. Some of them just grow organically, bootstrap. And as I mentioned earlier, that this is one of the locations or incubators that UCF operates. How do we find our companies? Through public relations. We do a lot of press coverage for our companies, about their success stories, as well as our program and partnerships that we do through events, word of mouth, and strategic partners. We work with a lot of what others may see as competitors, we see as partners. So organizations like Starter Studio, the National Entrepreneur Center, Small Business Development Center, Black Millennium Tech, countless others, Venture Scale Up. So there's a lot of people that we work with because we know that we can't do everything, we can't do everything to all people, and there's others that provide services or insights or resources that kind of augment what we do. This is a fraction of our team. Unfortunately, I couldn't squeeze everybody on here, but Carol Ann and Rob are our co-directors. Carol Ann's focused on operations, whereas Rob's focused on strategic partnerships. Robin Wright oversees our Lake Nona Life Science Incubator. Ray Villegas, he oversees our mentorship program, as well as our first customer program. That's me at the bottom left. Esther oversees our incubator in Kissimmee. Raphael oversees our incubator in Winter Springs. And Connie oversees our incubator in Volusia County. Well, that's it.
I think that was it.
I was gonna say, that's the parking lot on a dark day.
Those are the cons.
Yes.
How much interaction or sharing the resources you have with UCF itself?
As far as you offer, is there access or the research or something, or is it just the name?
And am I echoing?
Yeah, we're good.
So we interact with UCF in a couple different ways. Most of the entrepreneurs in our program have no ties to UCF at all. Some of them are students that are trying to start or to launch their startup. Others are faculty members that are trying to commercialize their research. So we do pull entrepreneurs from UCF, but for those who have no ties to UCF, if you need an intern, we'll help you navigate that process to recruit and bring on an intern. If you need help with a, let's say, an SBIR grant, or excuse me, an STTR grant, so you need a researcher to help you with the grant proposal. We can help connect you with those researchers to participate in your grant proposal and grant project. And sometimes those connections help. Also, there's resources that UCF also oversees, like the SBDC, the local SBDC, and SCORE, and other programs. And so there's a lot of connectivity there.
And I bring that up because that's a huge selling point when you're talking about, what is it, the largest school in the country, or second largest, or
Second
largest in the southeast, or something
Yeah.
like that. So yeah, that would be a huge selling point, I would imagine, getting access to some of those resources.
Absolutely.
Google says you're the biggest.
Excellent.
Who's the other one?
Arizona State. Columbia always. Any other questions?
At one point, 25 years ago, UCF was only 19,000 student body. I saw the growth of it.
That's part of that growth that we're seeing here.
Two people did it. One is JFK and other one Walt Disney. Those are the two reasons we are here today. Unless you were picking cotton or oranges.
Anyone else?
So do you accept any startup or do you have criteria that people have to?
We do have criteria, so obviously you have to be headquartered here in Central Florida, Central Florida being 4 counties that we serve. Osceola, Seminole, Orange, and Volusia. We also want to look at a couple other things. One of them being the scalability of the business. If you're a landscaping company, it's very difficult to scale from restaurants and other businesses. But as long as you have the ability to provide your service or product to multiple people at the same time, or can serve clients beyond Central Florida or beyond a geographic area, then we'll consider you. And then what we do as part of our bidding process is we have prospects pitch their business to our staff, and we have a chance to ask questions during the presentation. That gives us a chance to understand the entrepreneur's coachability. Are they very defensive? Are they not listening to feedback? Or are they open to that? Because if you're not open to it, there's no point in us helping you, you're not going to listen. But if you are open to that, then you're a good candidate for a program.
Another quick question.
Yeah.
So the mentorship piece, do you have certain pieces that are required? So you're reaching out to the company and having them follow through certain things, or do you have, or do you have them approach you when they need help? How does the mentorship work?
So when the company first joins our program, we go through a needs assessment to understand what they need, and then also a growth strategy session where we kind of help identify or establish goals. And in that process, we understand, okay, they're brand new to this, they need a lot of hand-holding. We as the incubator will provide some support. We act as a sounding board, we've also called therapists. But if there's specific expertise that I don't have or our team doesn't have, then we connect you with the mentor, whether that's an industry expert or whether that's just sort of a general business mentor.
It starts to allow you to use your spaces. Do you guys have like co-working spaces or something like that?
We don't really have co-working spaces. We have a facility just like this everywhere across the 4 counties. And there's meeting rooms, and then there's private offices that our entrepreneurs can operate their business from. There's some kind of open areas. We don't really allow the community to come in.
Success and failure rates, and or you have a feel for what is the thing that really crushes entrepreneurs, that is a common theme when you see them exit or fail or move on to go back to corporate or government.
We do track the number of graduates that we have, but we don't track a failure rate because we want to see companies grow. But what the most common reason why companies will leave is because they have enough revenue and they don't want to deal with the overhead of hiring a bunch of people and building a business. They've reached a level of satisfaction. And when it becomes apparent that they have a healthy income coming in, it's them to leave. So that's not a failure. It's just they're not committed to the program.
When you say they're not committed to being a growth company, you have a time frame for them to be with you guys, or are you just saying, you know, you get them to this point and it's like, okay, have fun?
So that first program, it's a strict 12 months. Either you've gone to market and you have customers, or you don't. And if you do have traction in the market, we'll graduate you into our growth program. There's no strict timetable there. Companies have stayed up to 10 years, but that's rare. The average is about 3 years where they'll graduate. But we meet with our companies monthly, and it becomes apparent over time that they're satisfied, they don't want to grow anymore. But those who want to take over the world, those are the ones that we want to work with and continue to support.
How do you find your industry experts when you need that particular expertise to refer to people?
Well, part of it is through the UCF network. Part of our mentors come from very successful UCF alumni, as well as an organization called YPO, Young Presidents Organization. These are entrepreneurs that have built very successful companies, and they serve as mentors as well.
Lot of people from here would use an ICO. That's why the customer discovery, that's thing can happen to you guys. I mentor a lot of people coming from here. That's the foundation for any business, customer discovery.
It is. So ICOR is a great program that is actually created by the National Science Foundation, and UCF is a node within that. It helps with customer discovery to try to help figure product market fit. And at the end of it, there is I believe, $3,000 grant to help you prototype or move on with your initiative. So it's a great program.
We have at least 2 or 3 times a year, just 5 to 6 weeks. We really grind you through, really like a fire hose. Just go through that. You really understand how important customer discovery is. Right? So if anybody has any questions, let me know.
So just a little tidbit on the company growth and things like that. Less than 10% of companies ever get any kind of public period, venture capital funding or anything like that. And less than 6% actually get $1 million in sales a year. Most small business owners are in it for that lifestyle business. And so so I understand why you let people go or why people just don't continue. Because that's what the goal of most people is not to scale and sell or whatever it would be.
Right. Yeah. A lot of people want a lifestyle business, and maybe don't realize that at first.
Jane said she wasn't able to hear all the description. Is meeting space included in the incubator service?
Yes. So if you're in the program, you can use rooms like this for team meetings, for events, things like that. Yes.
Okay. Jane, did you get that? Yeah, it is available.
Yes, so in other words, could a client use it for their business meeting space?
Yes.
These five spaces are available in the Lake Nona area?
There is an incubator in Lake Nona, but specifically for life science and health tech companies.
Yeah, could you run through those all? If you know them off the top of your head, what do they do? What do they serve?
Sure. So some of the incubators are industry specific. Now the others are more general or industry agnostic. So downtown is focused on technology companies, specifically fintech, digital media, smart city technology, ed tech, and fifth. Escapes me at the moment. Research Park is mostly modeling and simulation training, defense contractors, aerospace, cybersecurity, and a handful of others. And Lake Nona is life sciences and health tech. The rest, like this location, are a little bit more general.
And then there's Winter Springs. And...
That's more different.
Okay.
Sorry. All right.
I'm sorry.
So I was like,
sorry.
I cover my question. Okay, it goes back to what you were saying about how most people want just a regular lifestyle business. Are most people aware of the benefits of scaling, or do they just see it as a word like those?
It scares people to death. I've been helping people for 27 years starting to grow businesses. And it scares people to death to scale and to have that consume their life.
Okay, so it's my understanding that scaling means it won't consume your life because the lifestyle business actually consumes your life. But I'm also at that point of wanting to scale and get bigger. So I don't have it so consumed. Do you have education for that?
To help you figure out.
To let people know what that really means to scale, not just the scary part of it, like you were saying, but I guess what people.
Can I explain? Scale means bringing down the cost.
Right.
CAC is the most important number. You have to know customer acquisition cost. That's the reason. The reason you scale it so that you can bring the customer acquisition cost down. Otherwise, you won't make any profit. If you watch Shark Tank, Mr. Wonderful, what does he ask? That's what he asks. CAC, customer acquisition cost. That dictates whether you're going to survive or not. So that's very important to understand upfront. That's where everybody fails. Number one reason for failure is there's no customer product fit. That's how it's talking about. Number two reason is scale up. I don't know in advance. Without scale up, you will never make it. Then execution, that's everybody fails. All right, without execution, that's night. That's the way it goes. The business work. Business is minimizing risks profitably. 3 words. So all the time, the riskiest assumption you have in the pie. Business is all about assumption and guesses. Even if I started, you have to know upfront what is the riskiest assumption you have in the pie that will never let you get up or never succeed. That's what you figure out. You know the business, that's what business sense. And always remember cash flow is right. That's oxygen. So it's not that complex. That's why 90% fail.
So yes, that's true. The other thing I would suggest is think about where you and your company want to be in 5 years. You're in the program, what would you want to achieve? That's one way to look at it. Another thing is looking at the market. The market opportunity. Do you have advantage in the marketplace, or are you just sort of another face in the crowd? And that has a lot to do with it. It's the market opportunity. And are you in a niche market or a large market? And what it takes to expand. But I'm happy to have a conversation.
It's also very much of a different skill set of starting a business versus scaling a business. They're entirely different. And often the entrepreneur who starts a business cannot scale a business. It's not in their skill set.
It's more linear than creative.
We've got time for one more question.
Fear of scaling is just a symptom of the main fear, which is fear of success. But that's a whole different topic. I wanted to ask you this though. Sounds like you're trucking along, which is great. Is there a next level for the UCF Incubator? What's that next level that you're going to get to, or are you in that nice comfortable space where you're trucking along and it's cool?
So the good thing about not only Orlando but Florida in general, there's just a ton of resources for entrepreneurs. So when companies do graduate from our program, there's another organization, a state organization called GrowFL, and they help 7-stage companies. So companies that have at least 10 employees and at least $1 million in revenue, and they provide specific programs of that type. So we don't want to help companies beyond a certain stage. The only opportunities for growth is if another city or county approaches us and says, we would love to have an incubator here, can you do that?
GrowFL does participates in economic gardening, which is actually something I do. For the national team. All right, so we have one question for you, and then I'm going to throw back to you guys with the same question. Michael, what can we as a community do for you?
I'll get the word out about us. If you are a startup or know of a startup that needs the support and resources that we have, please direct them my way.
All right, and Justin and Chris, I forgot to ask you guys, what can we as a community do for you?
If you guys are interested as customers, please sign up at tackbots.com. And if you just spread the word about us as well, we truly appreciate that.
Okay, great. All right, let me all right, so next week, we're going to hear from who would have been here last week, but she had a medical issue. Monet Dyson from Dipped in Color. We hope to have a second speaker soon. If anybody wants to present, go to 1millioncubs.com/Orlando and we can get you through the system quickly and get you on the calendar. Josh will help coach you on your presentation. Or even if you want to speak later on, Josh can help coach you through your presentation and get you prepared for it. So if you're on Zoom, download the chat. Otherwise, I will have it available. I can't post it to the page for some reason. So if you want it, just email me or get in touch with me on Facebook and I'll PM you the chat. Connect with somebody you met today. Go have coffee with them and meet them for lunch or something. And make sure that you have joined us on meetup.com, 1 Million Cups Orlando, because that's where we do most of our announcements and get out about this. I also had the realization just now, 1 million caps Orlando is MCO, which is the airport.
Yeah.
Like I've been doing this for 3 years.
Which is-
Just did it today.
And it stands for Mickey City.
Does it really? No. It wouldn't surprise me. I know it's a military airport designation, which is why it's not ORL. Oh, McCoy, okay, there you go, thank you. All right, so thank you very much, and meet up and connect with somebody today, and we will see you in 167 hours.
I mentioned that I was like, oh,